Before we start side 2 properly, I should have read this on side 1, and I do hope you'll forgive me. But if you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. That's 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative, and she will be pleased to help you. And now over to Beverley, who will read the first item of local news. She will start with sports.
Enfield 1893 are searching for a new manager, I beg your pardon, after Gordon Boateng parted company with the Essex Senior League Club this week. Boateng only arrived at Goldsdown Road last summer and had high hopes of helping the E's to climb up the non-league pyramid. However, they ended up in a disappointing 9th place after only winning 2 of their last 14 league matches, and, following a meeting with the committee on Monday evening, it was decided by mutual consent that Boateng will leave with immediate effect. "We had a discussion about the best way to move the club forward," Boateng said. "Unfortunately, we tried to do a lot of things to progress the club, but they didn't really materialise, and it became apparent that they can't really go on any further forward at the moment."
And I have a sports item. A quick-fire, unbeaten half-century from Josh Davey helped Winchmore Hill to begin their defence of the Middlesex County Cricket League title by securing a winning draw at home to Hornsey on Saturday. In a match which was badly disrupted by rain, Hornsey decided to extend their innings for as long as possible after being put into bat and eventually declared on 286 for 8 over 66 overs, with Tom Kopelman taking 5 to 73. With no chance of forcing victory, giving the amount of time lost to the weather. Hill merely had to score at a faster rate and hope that 20 overs were played to ensure that they collected the winning draw. And Davies' 59 not out helped them to achieve that, and they made it to 105 to 2 when play was called off after exactly 20 overs had been bowled. Meanwhile, Southgate could only manage a losing draw from their rain-hit clash at home to Shepherd's Bush in the 2nd Division. A fine opening partnership of 121 between Alex Mitchell, 63, and Sam Dishon, 48, set the visitors up for a total of 174 for 6 batting first, with former skipper Rob Johnson, 3 to 31, and Ashley Sivaraja, 3 to 57, sharing the wickets between them. Southgate then struggled with a bat in reply, limping to 70 to 4 in the 21 to 2 overs that were possible before play was called off. However, Enfield got their season off to a flying start in Division 3 by claiming a 7-wicket win at home to Wembley, with Leo Smith taking 5 to 56, as the visitors were dismissed for just 109.
And now for what's on. And at the Chicken Shed, the Nihal Theatre Company presents Don't Wake Me, the ballad of Nihal Armstrong. And it's obviously a play, and it's appearing at the Chicken Shed from Wednesday 22nd to Saturday the 25th of May. And it's about a son that doctors say will never be able to communicate, a mother that knows he can and fights to give him a rich life. It's a powerful, funny, and deeply moving account of their extraordinary relationship. And as I say, it's on Wednesday the 22nd to Saturday the 25th of May. That sounds interesting.
And I have a what's on, but this is for the NHS Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group. Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group would like to invite you to its governing body meeting to be held in public on the 22nd of May 2013 at 3 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. at the Lee Valley Athletics Centre, 61 Meridian Way, Pickett's Lock, Enfield, N9OAR. Copies of the agenda and meeting papers will be available on our website at www.enfieldccg, that's all one word, .nhs.uk from the 15th of May 2013, and paper copies from Ian Pocock, Board Secretary, via reception at Holbrook House, Cockfosters Road, Barnet, EN4, ODR, from the 16th of May 2013. Questions about agenda items must be submitted by 12 noon on the 20th of May to ian.pocock@nclondon, that's all one word, .nhs.uk, and will be taken at the meeting. For further information, please call 0208 238 3866. That's 0208 238 3866, or email Ian Pocock at nclondon, that's all one word, .nhs.uk.
Now a letter from Councillor Joanne Laban, Conservative, Town Ward, Shadow Cabinet Member for Environment, Enfield Borough Council. I was astonished to read that Enfield's Labour Council charged Southgate College, I beg your pardon, for the use of Grovelands Park to hold a free athletics day for St Andrew's Primary School students, in brackets, Absolute Madness, Enfield Independent, on May the 1st. We need to make it easier for sporting events to take place, not harder. Enfield has one of the highest rates of childhood obesity in the country, so it's important that we do all that we can so that children's sports activities can easily take place. The argument is not only about obesity levels. School sports events like the one mentioned in the article enable children who may have never visited a park the chance to enjoy our much-loved open spaces. Enfield Borough Council has so got this wrong.
And I have a letter from Mike Buchanan, who's part of Justice for Men and Boys, and the women who love them. And he says, I spent almost an hour being interviewed over the phone by two of your lady journalists, and I should like to comment on a number of the assertions in the article. Man on a Mission, Advertiser, April the 30th. You wrote that I believe most women are too lazy to succeed in the House of Commons, but I said no such thing. What I said was that research by the eminent sociologist Catherine Harkin, Preference Theory 2000, revealed that only 1 in 7 British women is work-centred, while 4 in 7 British men are. British women who are talented and prepared to work as hard as men will get at least as far as men. Margaret Thatcher was first elected Prime Minister 34 years ago. You wrote, the effect on families if mothers are stuck in low-paid jobs does not seem to concern him. Neither does he care to explain why men and not women are entitled to promotions. Mothers are no more stuck in low-paid jobs than fathers, and I believe in equality of opportunity for men and women. What I oppose are the rampant social engineering initiatives designed to advance women ahead of men, regardless of merit. You wrote, the argument men should pay more because unfairly they tend to earn more than women does not hold any sway with him. Unfairly, beg your pardon, men tend to earn more than women as they are more likely to work full-time, work longer hours, work in unpleasant and dangerous conditions. 95% work away from home for lengthy periods and actively compete for the demanding, stressful, well-paid jobs which most women shun. Women prefer work/life balance. 3 local potential candidates for the 2015 general election have already contacted us, 2 men and 1 woman, so I thank you for the publicity. And now we're back to local news, the proper news. Thank you.
6 times world champion Mark Foster will be bringing his swimming academy to Enfield later this month to work with some of the area's talented youngsters. Promising swimmers aged between 11 and 18 will be able to learn from some of the country's leading coaches at Southby Leisure Centre in Southby Road on May 28th. Among them will be Katie Sexton, who won a World 200 metres backstroke title in 2003, along with a number of other international swimmers and a team of sports scientists. The programme will focus not only on techniques to improve speed, but also on the latest land training techniques, flexibility and core training and race preparation. Mr. Foster, a winner of 50 metres butterfly and freestyle titles at the World Short Course Championships, said, "I'm so pleased to be working with young, talented swimmers. It's great to put back my experiences into a sport I love and which has served me so well." Kevin Fleet, General Manager at Southby Leisure Centre, added, "We're thrilled to welcome Mark and the rest of his team for the swim camp and feel sure that it will be an exciting and inspiring day for all who attend. This is a great example of the wide range of special events we are committed to offering our members and others in the local community. The event is aimed at helping youngsters from across the borough stay fit and healthy. Last year it was reported that Enfield had one of the highest levels of childhood obesity in London. Southby Leisure Centre, which is managed by Charity Fusion, offers free swimming and gym use for all under 16s during the school holidays. Places for the swim camp are limited to 60 for the session and cost £97. Book at www.mfsa.co.uk.
And I have Howard Medwell's column. He reports for the Left Side. I was only in infant school at the time, but we all knew who the Mau Mau were. The newspapers our parents bought, News of the World and Daily Mirror among them, fed us juicy atrocity stories. I can even remember my Sunday school teacher talking about bits of people scattered all round the room. So it came as a surprise when in adulthood I found out that the white victims in the 1952 to 1960 Kenya emergency numbered precisely 32, whereas the lowest estimate for the Africans killed in about 20,000 is about 20,000. Mau Mau was an independence movement in Kenya, which was then a British colony. It campaigned often violently against land grabs, forced labour and ethnic cleansing. The colonial administration used internment, hanging, torture and beatings against Mau Mau supporters or alleged supporters. The days of the British Empire seem as remote as the Ice Age, but less than 60 years ago we were still voting for politicians who believed that Britain's prosperity depended on holding millions of Africans and Asians in colonial subjection. Now, long after most of the victims have died, the last few elderly survivors of the Kenya internment camps are to get some financial compensation from the present British government. People will react in various ways to the revolting details of the torture and brutality, guilt, shame, or maybe patriotic denial. It's important to face up to the grim reality of British history and make sure that our children learn about it. The slave trade, the Irish famine, the opium wars, Kenya, the lot. Meanwhile, we have to pay the compensation even if we were born long after 1960. And considering the lengthy conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, we would be wise to put something aside for the next lot of compensation claims.
Thames Water is testing new techniques at an Edmonton water treatment plant that would allow it to reuse sewage water in order to meet future increases in demand. The company is asking people if they would drink water from recycled sewage as part of a public consultation on the company's long-term strategy. Testing for the new ways of reusing sewage water, commonplace in parts of Spain, Australia and the US, is underway at the Deepham's sewage treatment works in Pickett's Lock Lane. At present, wastewater from toilets, baths and washing machines is treated and released into the Thames estuary, well away from plants that process drinking water. But Thames Water, which operates 350 sewage works across the UK, is the first in the country to consider treating sewage water so it can be returned to the domestic water supply. The company estimates that water demand for the capital will increase over the coming decade, with a projected population increase of 1.4 million by 2025. A spokesman for Thames Water said, "We can bridge the projected gap for the next 5 to 10 years through a further reduction in leakage, installing more meters and encouraging the wise use of water. However, after 2025, we are likely to require a major new source of water. On the basis of what we know now, this would be either a large new reservoir or a major water transfer scheme from elsewhere in the country, or significant reuse of wastewater."
The new mayor of Enfield says he is raring to get it going and that there's a lot to do. Chaudhry Anwar, who has been a ward councillor in Ponders End for the past 9 years, was installed mayor at a full council meeting on Wednesday last week. Mr. Anwar, 75, was born in the village of Uchandi, India, to a wealthy Muslim family in 1938. He moved to East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, in 1953 and went to university in Dhaka, where he obtained a master's degree in political science in 1959. Mr. Anwar first came to the UK in 1966 as a diplomat with the Pakistan High Commission, and he settled in Oxford 4 years later, where he became director of the Community Relations Council. In 1981, Mr. Anwar moved to Croydon in South London to fill the same position there. 2 years later, he arrived in Enfield, where he became the borough's first director of the Racial Equality Council. Since arriving in Enfield, Mr. Anwar has acted as chairman of a raft of voluntary organisations, including the Enfield Bangladesh Welfare Association, North London Asian Care, Enfield Voluntary Action, and the Ponders End Development Trust. He is hoping to give council meetings a multicultural flavour by having the blessing carried out by a Christian priest, an imam, a rabbi, and a Hindu priest in rotation. The Labour councillor told the Advertiser, said, "Since I arrived in Enfield, the borough has become much more multicultural, and I want to do more to bring Enfield's different cultures and generations together, as well as improve the level of political debate in the council chamber. I have over 35 years of experience in the voluntary sector, and I think that this has given me the skills to be a good mayor. I am very much looking forward to getting started. There is a lot to do." Outgoing Mayor Kate Anolu said, "I have to say that it has been an honour to be Enfield's mayor, and I am grateful to the councillors who voted me in. Being first citizen was an opportunity for me to raise money for charity and engage young people in the borough. I wish Mr. Anwar well in his role. He has worked a lot in the community and knows a lot about community engagement. He is certainly the right person for the job." Lower Edmonton Labour councillor Ingrid Cranfield is the deputy mayor of Enfield for 2013 to 14, taking over the role for Mr. Anwar.
Two boys from Enfield have triumphed in the first ever Strider British Balance Bike Championships qualifier. More than 100 children took part in the competition for pedal-free bikes at the newly built BMX track in Merton, southwest London. Youngsters aged between 18 months and 5 took part and were split into 4 different age groups. Joel Robinson, 5, and Joseph Katsantonis, 2, secured a place in finals in Manchester in September, when they will be competing against rivals from across the UK. If they impress, they could be selected to take part in the World Championships in Florida later this year. Joseph enjoyed the competition so much that his mum, Amy Hawkins, is taking him to the 4 other qualifying events across the country. Even though he already has a place in the final, he may only be a toddler, but he is rarely off his bike, said Amy. The proud mum could even have a future BMX champion on her hands after a spokesman for the competition described Joseph as one to watch. Amy added he spotted the track used by the 3 to 5-year-olds during the race. The second he finished, he was asking to go on the bigger track, so my dad snuck him on it and let him have a quick go. Equally proud Hannah Robinson of Winchmore Hill said Joel also started riding a balance bike at an early age. The bikes are designed to help children learn how to balance and improve their coordination on a bicycle without relying on stabilizers. Hannah said that Joel found it easy to adjust to a pedal bike because he had used a balance bike regularly. Joel started riding one when he was 2 and he loved it, she told the advertiser. When I was coming home from work by train, I saw an advert for the championship qualifiers. It was being held on a proper BMX course, and it sounded so much fun that we entered him for it. We were quite surprised as to how competitive he became. He can't wait for the finals, and we are looking for local BMX tracks for him to practice on. One young rider will be selected at random from all of the winners in the Manchester heats. They will then be flown to Florida to compete in the World Championships. For more information about qualifying heats, visit www.stridercup.org.
A housing authority has launched an investigation into the circumstances that led to a workman injuring his back. The 42-year-old was working in the 13-storey block of flats in Exeter Road in Brimsdown, which is run by Enfield Homes, when he fell from a ladder. Paramedics were called to Newton House at around 10 a.m. last Thursday. They dressed the man's wounds before he was taken to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel for further treatment. A statement from Enfield Homes, the housing authority run for Enfield Borough Council, confirmed the man had fallen from a ladder while working in the lift motor room. The statement said the emergency services were called to the scene and Enfield Homes is undertaking an internal investigation into the accident.
A young songstress who juggles schoolwork with following her musical dream hopes a performance will win her a place at the O2. Edmonton County School student Ellen Blaine will face an audition in Hayes in West London as part of the Teen Stars competition, with the best singers picked to perform in the finals in the O2 in Greenwich in July. The 15-year-old of Brendan Way in Bush Hill Park, whom her mother compares to popular artists Taylor Swift and Ellie Goulding, writes her own songs while working towards her GCSEs and hopes to break into the music industry. Her mother, Catherine, said this is what she wants to do. She would like to go down the science route, but she's kind of hoping that this will work out. She never shows her nerves. She takes it all in her stride. She's always been like that. She has to do what she has to do. Despite there being no other singers in the family, she believes her daughter has what it takes to hit the big time. Miss Blaine, who won the Power of Dreams music competition in the Millfield Theatre in Edmonton earlier this year, will perform her own song in front of judges on Saturday. She has already made it through the first round during an audition in Camden.
Work to refurbish a much-loved scout hut will soon begin after £3,000 was raised at a family fair. Members of the 19th Enfield Scout Group held their first Scout Fest on Saturday in the grounds of their Scout hut in Enfield Road, Oakwood. It was followed by a beer and music festival. Parent volunteer Gary Labdon said, "It was fantastic. It went really well. We were really lucky with the weather. It didn't chuck it down until later in the afternoon." Scout leader Andy Toffs added, "It was a great day and it's nice to see whole community, not just our Scout family, coming out to support us. We're really grateful to everyone for all their help." Meanwhile, adventurous young Scouts left the comfort of their own homes for a night under the stars. Beaver Scouts from 5 colonies across Southgate were joined by 25 adult volunteers on Saturday night to experience the pirate-themed camp in Scout Park near Bounds Green. Not afraid to leave their comfort zones, they tried their hand at boat building, climbing, archery, and making pirate gingerbread men. Beaver Scout leader Laura McManus said, "9 months ago this was just an idea. I had not expected this kind of response. We had a turnout of double the amount of children estimated. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for the fantastic help and support from parent volunteers." More than 100 people celebrated the 35th anniversary of a nursery in Winchmore Hill. Toddlers in fancy dress were joined by their parents and nursery staff during the lunchtime celebration at Carey Hall Playgroup in Compton Road. Former nursery goers attended, many accompanied by their own children. Enfield and Southgate MP David Burrows also visited to congratulate staff and spoke to owner Jan Collins about issues affecting early years education. Ms. Collins, who has run the nursery since 1996 after her daughter was a pupil, said, "It was absolutely brilliant. We really enjoyed it. Donations from the day will also be given to the nursery's chosen charity, Great Ormond Street Hospital." We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of and myself, Lilian, with Colin on the controls, it's goodbye.